Hey, how's it going? I'm Garrett, aka Scooter, the in-house SLP for Alphabet. I'm just here to walk you through some of the SLP guide in case you have some text overload and don't want to read a million words. I'll go through some of the talking points for you. So, how beatboxing works to aid speech-language pathologists. So at this stage, maybe you're wondering, hey, Alphabet looks awesome. I love beatboxing. I love the idea. Does this actually help my clients? So before we get into the clinical research, I just want to talk through some of the soft benefits of beatboxing. So one being increased engagement. I know these days kids just have a really difficult time paying attention, mostly as a function of technology these days, being on social media, things like that. And I found that so many of my kids in the schools had trouble paying attention, couldn't get them to the table, and beatboxing was a great way to do that. A, it's novel, and two, and B, it's something that will definitely be out of the ordinary and get their attention. I guess that's the same thing. But it was definitely something that worked for me. Secondly, self-motivated practice. So we all know that, kids will often, if you assign them homework to practice X amount of flashcards during the week, not a lot of kids that are doing that. So one thing that I found is that kids that really tuned into beatboxing, they were excited about practicing outside a session. And so it was the first time we were getting a ton of repetitions, for practicing these speech sounds on their own at home. It also promotes healthier social interaction. So a great way to, have kids get together and practice group social skills. They can practice taking turns in beatboxing, presenting how to beatbox to other kids, things like that. Also, social capital. Beatboxing is super cool. And I remember my first day going into the school district, kind of an inner city school, and I totally got made fun of the first day for what I was wearing and just being really square. So the first time that I brought in beatboxing to session, the kids were really interested in it. And then, after that, I became the cool beatboxing speech therapist. So it also helps the kids, who might have, maybe they're a little bit, there's a stigma about going to speech, but if they're going to learn something really cool like beatboxing, and it could be something to start a conversation with their peers, or even social capital for them as well. Going forward, confidence. Beatboxing takes practice. Developing skills can help clients increase their confidence in their own voice. Flexibility and use. Beatboxing is a tool that can be used in many different ways. You can make rhythmic patterns using any sounds that you want. So awesome. So now about clinical evidence. Although clinical evidence for beatboxing is still in its infancy, the positive effects of its use on treatment outcomes has been shown and corroborated by many clinicians across the globe. And right now, we are working on different studies. We're in the process of making studies to kind of clarify the effects of beatboxing on treatment outcomes. And so we're definitely involved in ongoing research. One cool thing about beatboxing is that it can also be integrated into many evidence-based treatment paradigms. Like, let's say you're working on phonological treatment and you want to use the cycles approach. Beatboxing can be integrated into that approach very easily. One study that Alphabet was involved in was using beatboxing to improve speech characteristics of adults with Down syndrome. And we're seeing very positive results from that. You can explore here. And we've also included a few research studies about the effects of music in general, specifically on social bonding, on mental health outcomes, and visual memory encoding, and basically a whole host of other positive benefits. So take time to explore this at your leisure, and you can always reach out with any questions here. We know that beatboxing is an amazing tool. It's very flexible. There's so many ways to use it, but it is not taking away your job as a speech therapist. So your role as an SLP is essential. Use your professional judgment to decide when and where to use beatboxing in your practice. Here's a small list of things that beatboxing can't do. replace your lesson plans, decide the type and order frequency of treatment. You can't judge the accuracy of target sounds. So, make sure when you're doing your first lessons to give actual feedback to your clients who are using this, and, help them use traditional methods to shape their production. All right, so recommended age. Alphabeat is designed primarily for clients in elementary and middle school, but it can be used for engagement improvement in some older clients and adults, especially those with developmental delays. And also for kids in early intervention, we've seen beatboxing be helpful in working on prelinguistic skills like imitation and so Alphabeat can be used with a wide variety of clients. Sometimes clients will kind of fail to engage with Alphabeat, and sometimes it's due to an age mismatch. So sometimes it's difficult to appeal to clients that are a little bit older and might view Alphabeat as being directed at younger kids. If this happens, we are an approved ASHA CE course provider, and we will be providing courses that are attached to the membership that can help you learn how to beatbox and then present it in a way that you feel is appropriate with the rest of your clients who may not engage with Alphabeat specifically. And so we will have also more videos coming up to help you expand how to use the tool, and even to start to brainstorm your own creative ways of using this with different clients. Okay, so therapeutic goals. As we've said before, Alphabeat can be used with a wide variety of different clients. And so looking at language and speech, it's primarily focused on speech-related conditions, being something where you can have a lot of practice with different sounds. Different conditions that you might use beatboxing for are articulation disorders, phonological disorders, anatomic disorders such as cleft palate, childhood apraxia of speech, and other speech difficulties that are secondary to developmental disabilities or delays. So there's a bunch of goals here. You can look at them on your own time, but one goal, if you're working on, let's say, velar fronting, reducing velar fronting, let's say that you are using a cycles approach with this particular child because they have a wide range of phonological processes going on. You can integrate beatboxing into the cycles approach. So what you can do is using chosen target words like is laid out in the approach, you can beatbox like cake and Kate for the auditory bombardment, repetitive practice steps. You can play games like beatboxing games like Beatbox Orchestra, which is where you might have different kids in a group that all have different instruments or different sounds or different words that they're using, and you have them go together in a rhythm. You can simply take turns for the experiential play portion of the cycles approach. And there are many, many other ways that you can integrate Alphabeat into working on specifically goals for speech. So although you might think of Alphabeat and beatboxing in general as primarily something which can help promote practice of speech sounds, it can also be a great tool for language development in general. So, you can use this with kids that have autism, social communication disorder. You can use it in early intervention with late talkers, other language difficulties that are secondary to the other disabilities, as we said before. Some things that you can do, for example, are, you can do cooperative play. So let's say that your client needs help with initiating play, maintaining and concluding play appropriately. You can have one client in the group or the social group introduce beatboxing, and then you can have them take turns in the activity. So they beatbox back and forth. They assign different instrument sounds to each kid, something like that. And concluding play being as simple as prompting one child to ask to change activities or giving them language to support, hey, now we're all done, or let's do something different. So beatboxing can be a great way to engage clients and have them participate together in social play. Okay, so introducing the course to clients. Like any new course material, Alphabeat works best when introduced with the proper context. Most of my kids knew about beatboxing, but not all. So you might want to show them something really cool. There's a couple of videos here from Spencer X, who's a huge TikTok star, and also Butterscotch, who's an amazing musician and beatboxer. And sometimes when you have that first clip of something really, really impressive, and something that's, something that the kid would want to see outside of speech, it's really motivating for them to try and learn. So it's also important to not just give you motivation, but it's also important to set the right expectations around progress. So just like with anything, any new skill that you might learn, your clients might be frustrated at first by the difficulty of creating certain sounds and reproducing them, and maybe the difficulty of sequencing them into a beat. So encourage them, use your SLP skills to, make sure you manage their expectations, have them resist the temptation to speed up, and give them proper feedback to create the sounds properly before they reliably produce them at home. Okay, so here's our lesson guide. As we scroll down on the left of our home screen in Teachable, you can check out all of the different lessons that we have for speech sounds and different drum sounds, different beatboxing lessons. So we definitely encourage you to start with the basics, the bread and butter of beatboxing, as they say. This is the BTK Boots and Cats lesson. And this will kind of allow you and your clients to master getting the general beat down before trying to expand and take on harder sounds and take on more difficult beats and rhythms. As you scroll down to the left, you can go through these lessons in order. You can skip to the lessons which fit your client's needs most directly. And they all are different speech sounds that map to different drum sounds. So for example, the shaker, we have two different shakers. Shaker part 1 is a beat that sounds like shake. And we also have one that's focused on the SH sound. We have a shaker sound that is a chicken shaker that is focused on the CH sound. So that would sound like boom, chicken, chicken, boom. And so depending on your client's specific needs, you can switch to whichever lesson you would like. Okay, so included with the lesson itself, there's also practice loops that are set right underneath. So at home in the lesson, you can have your clients work on practicing with these special loops that are set to music. So the primary use cases for these lessons are obviously the target sounds that we have connected to each lesson. But in addition to this, every lesson also supports, secondary use cases like building rapport, talked about before, training literacy skills, sustaining joint attention, following directions, and turn taking. So these lessons can be used to target all of those things as well. So not all of the sounds in the English language are represented here. The rest will be added in later iterations of the product, but most of the sounds that aren't represented here, apart from L and W, only differ as a matter of voicing. So in the case of the voiced bilabial plosive B, for example, used for the kick drum, all you have to do is coach the client to turn off the voice box to make the P sound. So additionally, we don't have, for example, all of the ways to pronounce an R. An R changes depending on whether or not it's in the beginning or the middle or the final part of a word, and depending on what vowels come before and after it. So if you do want to target different types of R's or whatever phoneme it might be, you can go through your flashcard deck that you have and simply make a beat with it. So something like. So once you have your clients hooked on Alphabeat in the therapy room, it is imperative to help your clients practice at home and keep learning on their own time. Because as we know, practice is where we see the most gains. So to help your clients keep learning, we've created Alphabeat Home. It's an optional add-on, enhances Alphabeat with extra homework loops, and even has a version of the homework loops that include background music, which I helped to create. So you can use Alphabeat Home with your clients, and there's a link that will be embedded here that you can share with them, and they can have access to the homework loops on the web or on any of their mobile devices. So it's important also, with anything, that the clients really learn the correct technique before they try and beatbox outside of the therapy room. So encourage them to try new beats out in therapy first, give them the right feedback, and then also do your speech therapist thing. Tell them that, practicing is very important. It's very important to have the correct technique when you're practicing as well. As with anything else, you want to start slow. I should start at 40 to 50 beats per minute and gradually increase the speed once they've mastered the sounds and manage to stay on the beat. And for the right clients, beatboxing can become a lifelong obsession or even a career. Encourage them to follow famous beatboxers on social media, get integrated into the community and find new beats on their own, as long as they bring them back to therapy so you can show them the proper technique. So beatboxing is a social activity. So the more people that are involved, be it family or friends or community or even other kids in the speak room, and encourage them to be collaborators and not just an audience. So like we've been saying this whole time, beatboxing is a creative tool, and it can be a great way for you as a speech therapist with your own awesome, amazing ideas to flex your creative muscles. So here are a few suggested activities if you're feeling a little bit stuck, but we encourage you to be creative and come up with your own ways to integrate beatboxing into your practice. One great thing to do is I love, it's called Beatboxing Orchestra. You can get a group of clients together. You can assign them different sounds to make. So one person might be the snare, one person is the hi-hat, one person might be an animal noise, rough, and one person might be the melody. And they can be, they can take turns, they can work together in concert, they can help, each other with different sounds where they're teaching peer-to-peer practice, and they can also, learn to initiate and terminate activities appropriately. Another thing that's really easy is, say you're working with flashcard decks and you want to do it in a way where the kid's not going to get bored. You can turn the words into a beat, just like we were doing before. Spread. So there are many, many ways that you can use beatboxing in your practice. We also have, like I was mentioning a little bit before, we have a CE course, an ASHA CE course, where you can learn some more ideas and help develop ideas even for how to use beatboxing in your practice. We encourage you to join in and be part of the community.